What is going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Hope you're all doing very well. We are on the Paladin, the RET Paladin in particular. We're going to look at that today. Since 10.0.7 has released, I've had a blast running around on the new island, the Forbidden Reach. I've gotten a whole bunch of Primordial Stones. Got a bunch of them down here, and I'm actually wearing the Onyx Amulet. I'm going to talk about that in a different video. Because this is not what this one's about, but I do think the Onyx Amulet is actually really interesting and is probably worth using, but we'll talk about that later. Today I do want to talk about my opening journey here into 10.0.7's RET Paladin, and of course the massive talent tree overhaul that has happened. If you guys didn't know, there's been a massive change. The entire, spec side got changed, and then a lot of stuff on the this side got changed as well. So let me talk about damage, mitigation, mobility, the three big things that we were wondering about for RET Paladin. And I'm going to talk about my talents really quickly, and I'll get to some footage as well. First of all, here's the build that I ran. A couple of highlights here that I want to mention right off the gate. This is such a better structured tree, and it gives you access to so many great abilities right off the bat. Most notably, when you're in Mythic Plus and you're running an AoE focused build, which is what this is, you still get to pick up single target talents like Final Verdict and Vanguard's Momentum. Those are the two main ones that I want to focus on. You get to pick up extra Hammer of Wrath charges, and of course an extra damage from Final Verdict, giving a chance to reset Hammer of Wrath. It's so good on boss fights in Mythic Plus. There's just something about it that is fantastic in Mythic Plus. Really love that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between Crusading Strikes and Templar Strikes, which is what my build uses, is Templar Strikes. And then what choices that ends up causing me to make, what different choices that kind of I end up making as a result of that. On top of that, I'll talk about 1 minute wings, which I loved, and then we're going to talk about the AoE portion at the bottom of the tree here. I want to make sure I get into that as well and my sort of talent choices. So let me roll the dungeon footage and just talk about what's going on kind of with my build. Okay, so we're into the dungeon. This was a Temple to Jade Servant. It was just a 13. So again, remember guys, my item level right now is only like 400. I'm just climbing with my Raider.io. I'm trying to get my rating up. You can see the opening burst is as good as it always has been. We peaked at 200k for a second. This isn't even that many targets, but the build is like really outrageously good in AoE. It's so insane. Like, you're just popping cooldowns like crazy, and with the 1 minute wings, which I'm not taking Crusade, so no haste buff, but I am getting Avenging Wrath Might, so you get 20% crit on top of the 20% damage and healing that you do from baseline Avenging Wrath. So 1 minute wings is so good, and I love this. I'm going to keep experimenting with it a lot, but I love having wings up every single pack to pack. You have wings up, you're good to go. There's no issues whatsoever. I just love it. It's absolutely fantastic. On the survivability front, really quickly, I want you to look at my healing right now. I'm actually out healing the tank. We did 20k HPS there. Look at the Lightforge Blessing. Actually, I highlighted it there really quickly. The Lightforge Blessing is, of course, the thing that came along on the class side of the tree. The new, every time you press Divine Storm, you heal up to 4 nearby allies for 3% of their max HP. You can see it did 300,000 healing right there. I did lay somebody, so that was a lot of healing. But Judgment of the Light, Shield of Vengeance, it's all there. Our survivability and our ability to support the team and make the entire team more survivable has also gone way up. And I think that it's just a tiny little note there, but it's so awesome. Like, so good, man. Again, we get smacked pretty hard here. I think I just bubble the next one off. You just always have these choices, right? It's like I have Shield of Vengeance. I have the new Divine Protection giving me 30% DR, which is insane. And then if I really need protection, I just bubble myself or bot myself, and everything's totally fine. The build that I'm choosing to run here is, of course, a Templar Strikes build. And this is the new, again, it's the choice note against Crusading Strikes. Crusading Strikes was brought in, and it just simply says your Crusader Strike is replaces your auto attack. So you just passively now do Crusader Strike and you generate Holy Power. We're not taking that one. They added in the last week a new one called Templar Strikes, and it basically means instead of not pressing Crusader Strike at all and having your auto attacks just do it, you are pressing Crusader Strike all the time. It's a 2-part combo, and you can see it on my bar down here. You can see if I press it, it will light up, and it'll light up for the second part of the combo that I want to be pressing. So I should press it here in a second. I'm just going through my big Wake of Ashes combo there with Divine Toll. But yeah, it's a 2-part combo. What's really cool about it is that every single attack from the new Templar strikes gives you a holy power. So the original 2 charges of Crusader Strike that you get, each generates 1 holy power. If you take Templar strikes, it doubles it up. It gives you 4. So 1 Crusader Strike gets split into 2. So you go Crusader Strike, Templar Strike, and that gives you 2 holy power. Then you go Crusader Strike, Templar Strike again, and that gives you 2 holy powers. So it's like, instead of getting 2, you can get 4. So it means you need to be pressing this button a lot. You need to be pressing Templar strikes as much as possible, because it also, 2 important things. It does radiant damage, and it just does a lot of damage, period. Like, over the course of the entire dungeon, I think it ends up being like 8% of my damage or something, this whole combo. So it's actually very important that you end up pressing Templar strikes a lot. What does that mean? It means it's going to adjust the rest of your talents. So you need to spend a lot of GCDs pressing Templar strikes and not pressing Judgment or Blade of Wrath. So it means that you're going to take instead of the talents that give you 2 charges of Blade of Justice, or Judgment, you're going to take the talents that make Blade of Justice and Judgment generate an additional holy power. So you're going to cast them less often, but they're going to generate more holy power for you, which is a great thing. So that you have more GCDs free to cast Crusader Strike or Templar Strikes in this case. So I really, excuse me, I really enjoyed it. I like the style. I actually think that I could have changed my talents a little bit more to reduce the amount of holy power that I was getting from other abilities even more, because this sucker generates so much holy power that you really don't need a lot of other generators. So that's the main crux of this build. We're spending less time pressing multiple Judgments and less time pressing multiple Blade of Justices, and we're spending more time pressing Templar strikes in order to get the big damage from it and the extra holy power generation. And of course, you can make it cleave with a talent called Blessed Champion. Your Crusader Strike and Judgment hit 4 additional targets. They deal less damage to secondary targets. So it's even more worth it to be pressing Templar strikes as much as you possibly can. Okay, that's a big part of the build that I took. I of course took 1-minute wings like I talked about before. I just really think having Avenging Wrath up for every single pack is just an amazing thing to do. It's amazing to have that. I love the haste that you get from Crusade, don't get me wrong, but having the extra wings up every single time is just absolutely bonkers. It's so good. You can see here I thought he was only going to pull 1 guy. Thankfully he ends up pulling all 3. So then we pop wings, and there we go. You can see what keeps happening there. I throw down Final Reckoning right here. That's my Final Reckoning cast. It goes ring, right? I have another talent that I'm going to start getting to now called Searing Light. It's in the bottom right-hand corner of the tree. This is a big talent that makes your... it calls down basically exactly like Final Reckoning. It's going to call down a big bunch of damage. So watch this here. It happens right now. Boom. It just happened right there. So it calls down a big pillar of fire, and it also puts Consecration on the ground. And it does a couple of other really important things. Number 1, right before you get to Searing Light, there's a talent called Burning Crusade. It makes your Divine Storm, which is your AoE spender, your Divine Hammers, or your Consecration, depending which way you have it. They now deal radiant damage, okay? And then the damage of all of your radiant damage is up by 5%. So here's what happens. Your radiant damage now includes Wake of Ashes and Truth's Wake, which is the extra dot from Wake of Ashes. Consecration, or Divine Hammers, is now radiant damage. Divine Storm, your main spender, is now radiant damage. And guess what? Templar Strikes, what we just talked about, your main builder is also radiant damage. So everything you're doing basically is radiant damage, except for like Judgment and Blade of Justice. But again, you're pressing Judgment and Blade of Justice less often. So you're pressing Templar Strikes a lot, radiant damage, Wake of Ashes, radiant damage, Consecration, radiant damage, and your Divine Storm spender is radiant damage. So you're buffing all of that, and every time you press an ability that does radiant damage, you have a chance to bring down this explosion of light. And Searing Light ended up doing a lot of damage for me over the course of the dungeon. I think it might have been 5 or 6% just from that one node. So very, very fun, very cool. Radiant damage, of course, is fire plus holy damage, so it is benefiting from mastery. Very, very good. I love this little style. And I think it's a great fit for AoE damage in Mythic Plus dungeons. Like, this is what you need to be taking. Like, we all get feared here. A little bit of a yikes there. I end up healing the tank just to kind of keep him alive. He got a couple procs that kept him alive as well. But that's the main crux of the build. We have Final Reckoning. I'm taking the talent called Executioner's Will. Makes Final Reckoning last longer, which I think is really critical to keeping the uptime. So it ends up being my Final Reckoning. The buff that I get from Final Reckoning lasts for 16 seconds. 16 seconds of me doing 30% more holy damage to all enemies. So huge, huge damage amp right there. And then again, I'm taking Templar Strikes, I'm taking 1 minute wings, and I'm taking Searing Light and Burning Crusade, that big combo down on the bottom there. So those are the main, that's the main kind of combo of what I'm doing. It does a lot of damage in AoE. The single target rotation I still need to kind of work on. But again, I love this build because with 1 minute wings, you get access to your Hammer of Wraths all the time. Because when you pop wings, you can use Hammer of Wrath. You can see they're active right now. Which means, again, it gets an extra charge. So you get to throw 2 charges of Hammer of Wrath instead of 1. Which is so good because of Vanguard's momentum. And then Final Verdict, you can see on the single target boss fights, it really does help quite a bit. It ends up throwing out a lot of damage. I was just showing the healing from Lightforge's Blessing. Here's like a single target boss fight. So again, we'll get to pop wings right away because it's just back all the time. Big Wake of Ashes damage. And then we're just getting to press basically Final Verdict and Hammer of Wrath. Final Verdict, Hammer of Wrath. You keep getting charges of Hammer of Wrath back. It's absolutely crazy how much damage this ends up doing over the course of a dungeon. So our damage right now is really good. I'm happy with this on single target. This is so good. I'm really not usually expecting to do this much damage, but it's a little bit of a 2-target cleave fight, but realistically, you want to be doing single target damage, right? So it does start falling off here, but again, my item level is only 400. I still have to get all the way to like 415, 418, my shaman right now is 417, so imagine if I was that high and had the right trinkets and all that jazz. So it's going to get better, and the damage I just think is really crisp. Let me move way ahead here. Here's some crazy AoE damage once again. The burst is just so good. Your opening burst is always so good, just like it's always been. I don't even have wings up right now for this. I don't have wings. But I do have Wake of Ashes and Divine Toll. Watch the damage here. Divine Storm, Wake of Ashes, Divine Toll coming up here. I bubble just because I know I'm going to pull threat. Our damage is just absolutely insane. We're going to peak at about 100k here. It's just great. I mean, it's really good. It's consistent damage all the time. If you take the 1 minute wings, you basically have damage all the time. Every single pack, you have big damage. You don't have to worry about kind of like messing up your cooldowns or anything. You just get huge damage every 1 minute with your Avenging Wrath. It's so good. So good. So let me pause that there and skip back actually to the gameplay. Oh, it's got the wrong thing open here. There we go. So we'll look at the overall here on the damage numbers from that dungeon, actually. Again, I'm going to do more dungeons here, guys. Don't worry. This is not the only one that I've done. But here's the damage breakdown. We can see it. I'll go up a little bit here. Divine Storm, Final Verdict, Hammer of Wrath. Look at how high Hammer of Wrath is. Because I have 1 minute wings, and I'm able to cast Hammer of Wrath over and over and over again. It's just really great. It does so much damage. 60k hits. Really helps with your single target damage. Final Verdict, again, single target damage. Had a couple 100k crits there. Divine Storm's going to be the big one, of course. You're just pressing this all the g-dang time. Here's some of the extra ones. Searing Light, that was the talent I talked about in the bottom right-hand corner here. It ended up doing a substantial amount of damage. 5% of my damage. Really, really good. And then we have Truth's Wake with Wake of Ashes. It just does a crazy amount of damage. Extra Divine Storm. This is the one that sends the little beam forward. Here's the Templar and Strike and Templar Slash. This is the Crusader Strike combo ability. Ends up doing about 6% of our damage. So we'd have to bring that all the way up to here. It goes just underneath Judgment. It's actually our 5th highest to DPS ability. The Templar Slash Templar Strike. I really like that one a lot. And then here's the Primordial Stones I was using. A couple of them down here. They ended up only being about 6% of my damage as well. So I'm going to try out some different stone combinations, and I will get back to you guys on how good that is. Also, the healing, I mean, I just love how much healing we're able to do. Almost 10k healing, and the bulk of it coming from Light Forge Blessing, guys. That is this thing right here. Divine Storm healing your party. I love this kind of utility that we can bring. Really, really good. Judgment of Light also doing a lot of work, and then Shield of Vengeance. I love this. I just love the extra healing that's coming through so much. So that's the build. That is the 1 minute wings, Templar strikes, Searing Light kind of build that I've got going. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about RET Paladin. I'm going to keep experimenting with all kinds of different builds. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to keep bringing them to you guys. I am very seriously considering just switching to RET Paladin, like, for the rest of the season, if not into Season 2. When 10.1 drops, because I'm having so much fun with it, and I am able to play Prot and Holy and RET, which I really enjoy doing. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. Would you appreciate me jumping into Pally and doing a lot more Pally content, because I'm really excited about Paladin. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it as well in those comments. So thank you so much again for watching. Like and subscribe if you like these videos. I would really appreciate it, guys. Keeps the momentum on the channel going. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one.